Welcome back, sports fans, to another episode of the 2315 Sports Show on episode 39. We are recording this one a week early. I will be out of town when this airs, so we thought we're going to do a little episode, and we got a surprise at the end, but we're just going to go a little off script here and not really talk about anything going on next week, obviously, since we don't know the outcomes of this week. But we're going to do a couple things. We're going to do the NFL Mount Rushmore. We're going to do an offensive and a defensive between the two of us. And like I said, at the end, we got a little surprise for you. We're going to show on screen, talk about it, and it'll probably go on our X, Twitter, whatever, and possibly TikTok too. So we'll see about that. But getting right into it, we'll start on the offensive side of the ball.
Okay.
So Mount Rushmore, you want to go first? Offense?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So, a couple of my players I think would be predictable, but I think I've got a couple in there that are, maybe some not really wild cards, but maybe some people wouldn't put them up there. But starting out, my Mount Rushmore, number one, Tom Brady, best football player in NFL history. I think, best quarterback, obviously, most Super Bowls by a player. He's the GOAT. So Tom Brady's number one. Number two, I've got Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice, the best receiver that's ever walked the face of the earth. So even though, he's always had talent throwing him the ball, to put up the numbers that he did, 22,000 is insane. He's definitely up there for sure. I think it's hard pressed to put anybody else. There's a lot of other good receivers out there. You've had T.O. and you've had Andre Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins, Chad Johnson. He's, I want to put Ocho up there in my Mount Rushmore, but it's so hard not to because, his stats weren't great. But so I've got Brady, Rice, number three, Emmitt Smith. I think he's best running back to ever play. Once again, had the teams, but he's tough. He's really, really tough. One of the better running backs to ever step foot on the field. And then last for me, it's really tough because his stats aren't the greatest. They're top three at his position in almost every statistical category, but just how dominant he was on the field when he played, I couldn't keep him off the list. And that's my guy. But I think, you could have went more quarterbacks, but, just going for there's, most lists are going to have 2-3 quarterbacks on it, but that position now it's going to get the stat wise is going to get watered down so much lately because you look at guys like Phillip Rivers in top 10 in passing yards, and I wouldn't consider him a top 10 quarterback of all time.
Right.
I think Patrick Mahomes is getting up there. He's a top 4 guy. Joe Montana, but I do like Jerry Rice over him, Emmitt Smith over him, and then Gronk is probably a personal pick, but I like him. He is definitely my last one on my list.
Okay, I don't mind that. So I went the same route at the top. Well, I guess you'd say I do believe Tom Brady's the best football player to ever walk the face of the earth. And for right now, it's not even close. Like I said, and we all hate to say it, but Mahomes could get there, honestly.
Yeah.
And I will say, arm talent, Mahomes got him beat by a lot.
Yeah.
Mahomes' arm is unmatched. I think. But just knowing the game, playing the game, understanding the game, and winning. It all comes down to winning. Because I'm going into a different sport. I'm a Jordan fan, and I think he's the greatest of all time, and he always will be, because he never lost in the finals. Brady lost in the Super Bowl, but he won way more than he lost. So,
Yeah.
um, and again, football, you rely on a lot of other things, but to me, he never did it with a all-star wide receiving core like what we have today. Like, you know, Mahomes, for example, he had Tyreek Hill, he had Kelsey, he had a good running back. Like, everything lines up very well. And the Patriots never really had that. They had a lot of gritty guys, but not big name
Yeah.
superstar guys. So, uh, him being one of them, he was a gritty guy. Like, again, he might have never put up the most numbers in a year, not the most passing yards in a year. That was Peyton's job, but Peyton didn't win that many. So, I'd as a team
Yep.
base, you'd rather have rings. So, I agree with you. Tom Brady won. I agree with you at 2. Jerry Rice, again, is the best wide receiver, hands down, and that one isn't even close. To tell you the truth, I don't think I don't think anyone. And again, I wasn't huge in football, and we weren't around when he played. Right? He was done by the time we came around. I think
Uh,
pretty
yeah. Well,
close.
he played like a year or two for the Raiders, but like they were down years. He
Right.
wasn't. That was like early 2000s, late 90s,
Okay.
whatever. But
Yeah.
nothing when we
So
were like big fans.
no. So, and I don't think it's anywhere close. Um, I know you have Randy Moss, you have To, you have some of these other guys, but I wouldn't take anyone over him. So Jerry Rice definitely number 2. I kind of followed the same thing as you. I did a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and tight end. I'm sure there's some linemen in there that should be on this list. I just don't know linemen really well.
Yeah.
So, um, running back for me, this one might be not a lot of people's pick, but it's the one I remember most seeing. Um, it's LaDainian Tomlinson, LT.
Ooh. Yep.
I think he was my first like look at running back saying this guy is untouchable. Like,
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
could catch the ball and could run the ball. Changed the position. One of them that changed the position forever. Um, Now, as a Homer fan and a Bear fan, I'm going to say Walter Payton was the best running back of all time, but I never saw him. Like,
Yeah.
you see highlights, and he was really good, but a lot of people will probably say Jim Brown. Never saw him. Like, I just don't know. So, and my last one for tight end, and this was actually the first tight end I thought the same way, kind of like LT. Like, you throw it up to him, he's going to catch it, and that's Tony Gonzalez
Mm.
for me. Um, just simply one of the best hands I've ever seen, and could do it all. So,
Yep.
and he did change the position forever. He was the
Absolutely.
he is he is why tight ends are what they are today. So, um, that's my offensive top, Mount Rushmore. Um, 2 of the same
Yeah.
of yours,
Some
and then
good
I had to
picks.
go a little different than you. So,
Yeah.
for sure. But
That's
like
all
you
right.
said,
I like those picks.
I'm sure a lot of people like put more quarterbacks up there and things like that, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to pick one from every kind of skill position and base it off
Yeah.
that. I think that's the fairest in a way.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
so on the defensive side, this one was a struggle for me, because I remember a lot. Um, and I'm going to pick probably one homer pick. I would say two, but my second one is like the fifth, like one out from Mount Rushmore for me.
Yeah.
But first, I personally think, a lot of people are going to disagree probably, but I never saw the other guy play. I think the best defensive player to ever play was Ray Lewis. And
Okay.
that's who I have as my number one overall. Because again, I joined watching football probably around when that team started getting formed, like kind of close, kind of to some of the other guys I'm going to start saying. But I think he's the best pure defensive player I've ever seen, and could hit like a missile. So that's my number one. Number two is actually the same position, and this where the homer pick comes in, and that's Brian Urlacher. One, he has a great first name, so we're going to pick that.
Yeah.
And he was my favorite Bear for a very long time. So that defense was very good as well. And then number three, for me, I'm going to go Ed Reed from that same Baltimore
Okay.
defense. Another one that was mean and could hit like no other. And the last one, these are going to be all teams, like players that I remember seeing, is Troy Polamalu.
Okay.
I don't think he gets enough credit for what
Yeah.
he was. Like, he kind of changed the way
Absolutely.
that position was
Super
played.
underrated guy.
Kind of changed the way that position was played a little bit too, and what he could do jumping over the line and just crazy things. So I do have one of them out, and probably I'm going to say my tied with Urlacher as second favorite Bear to ever play is Lance Briggs.
Okay.
They were a duo. I couldn't put the duo in there because I do believe Terrell Suggs was also up there, and they were a duo with Ray Lewis. So
yeah,
I couldn't do it, but he would be my first one out for me. And again, stats wise, I don't know. I just remember seeing him play and thought he was
he's
the
on
greatest.
your Mount Rushmore. That's all that matters.
That's exactly right. And I mean, I'll wait for you, but a lot of people will disagree with the number one because I don't think you're going to say the same name that everyone would say, but I'm not going to say it. So, so that's my defense. We got Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, Ed Reed, and Troy Polamalu.
Hey, listen, that's a solid list though. My only knock on Brian Urlacher would be there was an instance where Brady took him out of his cleats and he juked him, and I don't think Brady's ever juked anybody in his life. So that's got to keep him on the cusp of Mount Rushmore for me. He's looking up, but he's not.
He was just showing respect.
Because of that.
He was just showing respect.
Yeah.
That was all it was.
Yeah, it was wild. But no, looking into it, like I thought about Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
Everybody, Lawrence Taylor, he's the guy. I never watched him play. I can't. I mean, sure, he's probably the greatest defensive player to ever play football. I can't put him on my list because I never watched him play. I never really watched Jerry Rice play. I've watched him at the tail end of his career, but like watching an offense player versus a defense player is a little different.
Yeah.
I know he was a physical force and he was tough. He was like to be reckoned with. So that's how my number one came about, was just super easy. It's Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is probably, in my eyes, the greatest defensive player ever. He was just dominant, like the 13, 14 Pro Bowls, something like that. Like he's that guy. So he's my number one. My number two is a guy that was on your list, and that's Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis is dominant, but his leadership puts him over the top for me. So he's the reason why he's there. That's the reason why he's there at number two. And the last two were really hard for me because there's so many good players. Ed Reed, Darrell
Mhm.
Revis, Champ Bailey,
Yeah.
um, Dion. Like there's just a lot of good players. But I was like, I don't know who to put, where to put anybody because I was like, this is just a toss up. There's so many good players still left. But my number three is Ed Reed as well
Yeah.
because of how smart he was. And honestly, I hated when the Patriots had to play the
Mhm.
Ravens because of him. But like I remember watching this thing like a NFL films breakdown him and Bill Belichick and a couple other guys, and he was talking about playing Peyton Manning, and he was like, I realized that when we played him and we were in this certain coverage, Peyton Manning loved to do this, but he knew that I knew that, so he knew like when I would do this to disguise whatever. So he like played Manning,
Mind
who was
games.
trying to play him, who was trying to play him. I mean, chess, and
Yes.
like picked him off twice during the game. And I'm like, that's insane. Like the amount of time and effort you spend to watching film, but just as pure talent, like dude's ridiculous.
Yes.
He's up there for me. Dion was real close. Like,
Mhm.
but another guy that I just didn't watch a ton of. Like he
Right.
was out of the league by the time I become a huge fan. So, but my last pick is somebody that I don't truly know if you would classify as a defensive player.
Mhm.
You couldn't really classify him as an offensive player because he was listed as both.
Ooh.
But I have to put him on my Mount Rushmore somewhere because he's the best. And it's Devin Hester, your guy.
Yep. I wanted to.
Coming to the league as a defensive back,
Mhm.
but then was like a H back wide receiver,
Mhm.
but like played a little bit of everything and then just didn't really play at all. But like I got to put him in there somewhere. We're not doing Mount Rushmore of special teams
No.
players because that's
No.
dumb. But I don't know who the greatest long snapper is, or the
Yeah.
punter, or even the kicker. Probably
Uh,
Justin Tucker. But
pu punter's, Pat McAfee, obviously.
oh yeah, probably. So we probably just made our list there. But
Probably.
Devin Hester, he's number 4 on my list.
I like it.
He's my guy. I've got to put him in there. He was electric every time he touched the ball. So Devin Hester's number 4,
Yes.
only because he was drafted as a DB.
Yeah, he was out of Miami. Yeah, that was
That's right.
yeah, that I wanted to, but didn't know if it was allowed technically because I don't think he played very much on defense or offense. But he scored a lot of points.
You can slide him
So,
in there if you want to.
oh,
Honorable mention, just NFL Mount Rushmore.
he is on my NFL Mount Rushmore. Like, he's my favorite player to
Yeah.
probably ever play the game. So, um, yeah, very electric, very electric. I like it. I like those. I like the defense. Defense is tough, and I also like Warren Sapp. I'm surprised he wasn't
Oh yeah.
on your list just because of who he is. But
Yeah.
or like Wilfork, big old Wilfork in there. I like him too.
Yeah.
He was
I
wild.
had a tough time making the list. Like the defense was a real struggle.
Yeah, yeah. So who? Okay, so if you did it, just a real quick one. 2 offense, 2 defense to complete a Mount Rushmore in today's game
Yeah.
right now. In today's game right now for 2 offensive and 2 defense.
Today's game.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think obviously you got to go Pat Mahomes.
Yep.
He's
Agreed.
the best quarterback in the league right now.
Mhm.
Next best offensive player, I think you probably have to go Justin Jefferson.
Mhm.
But I mean, like if you're looking at like right now, Justin Jefferson. But if you're looking like active players, we're probably going D Hop
Mhm.
because his body of work with who he's had throwing him the ball.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Probably D Hop. But if we're going right now, Justin Jefferson, of course. Um, Defense. Ooh.
It's a tough one.
Probably that's real tough. Once again, if we're going active players, I'm picking Stephon Gilmore. Um, he's on the Vikings. I'd pick him.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're going right now, I'm probably gonna go. Um, probably gonna go T.J. Watt, and if I pick a linebacker or secondary, um, I guess I don't know. I'd probably go Christian Gonzalez right now
Okay.
for the Pats. I think he's the best corner in the game.
Okay. I like that. I'll agree with you on the offense. I mean, Pat Mahomes is the best. There's no denying it either. And people who do are just haters at that point. I mean, you got to admit that.
Yeah.
Um, Second is tough because I feel, I mean, he's hurt right now, but I think Christian McCaffrey because of
Oh yeah.
what all he does and can
Yeah.
do.
The versatility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably pick him over Justin Jefferson. He's an honorable on the
Fair.
offense, Justin Jefferson. I like Justin
Fair.
Jefferson. But I'd take Christian McCaffrey. Defense, I'm probably picking 2 defensive ends just because they seem to run the league right now.
Yeah.
TJ Watt is one of them. And is it Nick Bosa from the 49ers? Or is it
Yeah. Nick Bosa.
Nick?
Yeah.
I'm taking him. So
Okay.
honorable mention for me is just because the body of work isn't enough yet, but Jalen Johnson from the Bears corner.
Okay.
Shut down.
Fair.
Shut down.
Yeah.
So that's good. I like that. Returners, there are none because this stupid kickoff is dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any special teams is kind of out. And you know who I didn't, with a special teams one is very interesting because I think you could make one. Devin Hester being at the top. I think the dude from your team was one of the best special teamers I've ever seen play. Solely like tackling wise. And it's that Slater
Matt
guy.
Slater.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hands down. One of the best special team players ever.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then you add
They had
some
like 10
kickers in there.
straight Pro Bowls.
Yeah. Yeah. So special teams wouldn't be that hard. But again, I don't know long snappers and all that bullshit. But yeah, so that's fun. I mean, it's a fun thing to do. That's what people don't realize. Like everyone's like, "Oh, do your Mount Rushmore," and it's like, well, you don't have to agree with me. It's your Mount Rushmore, not the world's Mount Rushmore. So you could just be fans of that player. You know, the guy may have sucked, but you might just be a fan of him. So, like for me on offense, that I saw play was Matt Forte at running back for the Bears. One of the better running backs the Bears has ever seen too. So just kind of depends. But that was fun. I did say in the description, and I'll say it on here, kind of the fans out there, let us know what your Mount Rushmore is for offensive and defense, and we might tweet it and TikTok it too. So let us know. Let us know in the comments of the YouTube channel too. So without further ado, there is something that has been in the works, and it's more so it's technically more so for merchandise in my opinion, but we did come up with a secondary sports show logo. Mainly we like the one that's on our chest right now, the 23XV sports show logo. I really enjoy that logo. But this is more for the back because I didn't love the back we had. And we need something fresh. So kind of without further ado, we're going to kind of release it here. And it might be a little blurred on the screen, but oh no, not too bad. So This is our new secondary logo, 23XV Sports Show, with me and Ethan in a Cubs jersey and then a Patriots jersey, and still with our slogan, not your average suit and tie show. So big shout out to Etsy. These people on Etsy made it, and they did a good job. So this, hopefully once we get it figured out, we'll get some new shirts made up and maybe some hats, and start getting these things out. Maybe some stickers too, because that's an easy one too. So make sure to follow us. We might do a little giveaway too. That'd probably be good for maybe, let's see, this is episode 39. So maybe by the 50th episode, that's, what do we got? 10 more weeks. So that's around Christmas time ish.
Yeah, puts us close to it. Close to Thanksgiving.
So that might be a good little promo. Maybe our Black Friday episode we'll have some stuff going on. So yeah, so this is cool. I enjoy it. It's been fun. So good little logo, I think. So put that, and then if you got nothing, like I said, it's kind of a shorter episode this week, mainly for me being out of town. But anything else? Yeah. I think we got your sports show on the horizon. Your little mini series should be coming out pretty soon. So stay tuned for that.
I keep getting delayed. We keep having stuff coming up. Nothing.
Penalty flags.
Delays happening. Yeah. So,
penalty
but
flags.
I'm hoping that tomorrow, 9/27, will be the first recording of the first episode, and then we can get it out Wednesday of next week before football, because it's all football.
All football. Hold them to it. Got to get it out.
That's right.
Got responsibilities now. Got responsibilities.
That's right.
All right. Hit them with the outro when you're ready.
All right. We just want to thank y'all for tuning in. However, wherever you may be listening, if you like the content you're receiving, hit the like, subscribe button. Facebook, Twitter, Apple Pod, Spotify, YouTube. See you next week. Peace.